Hello and welcome to your award-winning The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week through news and headlines ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel, and today we are going through sector number 478 with another member from the Lazy Gaming Guys. They are my favorite YouTube streamers. It is Julian. Welcome back to the co-host chair.
Hello, everyone. It is I, Julian, here once again to remind you that I exist outside of Lazy Gaming Guys.
And I'm glad I have you on this week because we have some Smash Brothers Ultimate news, which timing ended up working perfectly. I always like having someone from LGG on for major Nintendo news. But for anyone that is new to the podcast, the way we format the show is we go through the bulk of the podcast, the episode, which is news. We head on over to the Broket block, which is what Julian and I have been doing in the week. It's the portion where you get to know your hosts a little bit better. And we leave that at the end of the podcast. So you get the bulk of the news first, and then we wrap it up with the block. So let's jump right into this week's news. Pokemon has announced its plans to restart the live tournament circuit in early 2022. There were a lot of questions as to what it means for players that played in the last season or were trying to compete for the next Worlds, which of course ended up being canceled due to COVID. So all players who earned points in the canceled 2020 season will have their points transferred over to the 2022 season. A full schedule of events has not been announced, but the European Championship is confirmed to take place in April 2022, which I think is kind of a little dangerous to announce already when you're going to do your championships, but I guess they can always push it. Were you ever in the competitive scene for Pokemon TCG, or how have you seen the TCG tournament or the competitive market really change over the last year?
TCG. This is not usually my expertise. Mine is the VGCs, the video game tournaments. I actually have played in a couple of the online ones for the open online ones they do, where they just like everybody, you register, you get online, you play, and then if you get to a certain point, you might actually be seen by somebody. I of course never got to the point of being seen by somebody because I get like 2-3 fights in, and then someone with some decent better strategic made team than me, who has IVs and EVs and all that junk, comes and kicks my ass. Or one time it was actually kind of funny. My brother Steven, who also plays it, I found out that he had made another thing and that's another name, and we ended up fighting each other, and he beat me.
Oh man, that's shitty luck right there.
Because he didn't remember. Because I also had a cop. It was back when, during Sun and Moon, I had a copy of, he knew about my copy of Moon, but he didn't know about my Sun character. And so and it was like a female character, so he kicked my butt and not knowing it. And then I saw him playing at home one day when I was visiting, and it showed, wait a minute, you're that person. It's like, we fought each other. He's like, what? We're like, what? We're like, oh my God, it was awesome. But, he kicked me out of the second round. That was nice. But when it comes to TGCs, the only stuff I see is when I randomly watch it on YouTube when it pops up in my feed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it looks interesting. I'm not really knowledgeable about TGCs. I don't really get the Pokemon card game. Last time I had a friend who was visiting me, and when we all of us were in a group, and he was watching his brother in the Weiss Schwartz card game, and I was so confused about what the hell was going on. Not when they would take breaks and show the same 2 commercials over and over again, because of course they're going to advertise their card game, but it's like, God, we get it. You like Weiss Schwartz, everybody. Thank you.
Well, the cool thing about this circuit is it does involve VGC, TCG, and also Pokemon Go, which they're doing a tournament for that. I've been out of Pokemon Go. I don't play it anymore. So I don't know how they can do that competitively. I'm assuming just with the level of Pokemon that you might have. Hopefully you come up with a good one. Do you know the answer to that? Are you still playing Pokemon Go?
I know some online friends who asked me if I had one, and I'm like, okay, I could try it again. And now it's a completely different thing from what I remember it being. There's like all this stuff. Yeah, there's still the whole, roam, get Pokemon and stuff. But because of to make it more relevant for COVID, they initiated I'm trying to remember the name of it. There's an item essentially that brings Pokemon to you instead of you having to go to them. And also, literally right behind my apartment building is a Poke Spot where I can just spin it, get more Pokeballs
Nice.
and junk, and then walk back home. Only problem is I only can do it once a day.
Oh,
And
okay.
then down the street there's a Starbucks that has one. So if I ever tried to do that, I would have to do that. But I don't. But I like touch it once a week and then I move on with my life because I have too many other things to deal with and keep up with. But Pokemon Go is a different beast. There's like trading. There's battling against people. There's so many raids that are going on at a time. It's interesting. It's one of the things you wish it was in the beginning, but in the beginning it was the phenomenon it was, and the flash in the pan it was, that because everybody went completely cuckoo banana nut bonkers, myself included. So hey, I got a lot of exercise that the first 2 months it came out when my phone wasn't down to 5% every 2 minutes, and me having to carry around a charger and a cord in my pocket. Luckily, I had and we sold a lot of portable chargers that month.
Oh yeah.
Sold a lot of them. Still have way too many from after that.
People were closing down parks because they were so crowded, and Pokemon players were leaving trash all over them and vandalizing some of the things that were at the parks. This was a wild time. I would say like 5, 6 years ago, I think I would catch employees like spinning, swiping left and right constantly. And I'm like, hey, put that away.
Oh, trust me. There were grown adults, like people who you wouldn't think were in a Pokemon, playing it at my
Hmm.
job, and because apparently it's the only place that you could get Arcanine within 4 or 5 miles, apparently from back then. It was the only place you could get Arcanine, and so everybody was just trying to get as many Arcanine as possible, meandering around the store, and we had to tell people to get out. It's like you're not you've been here for like an hour and you haven't bought anything. We've been watching, and because that's like all they do is wing on their phone and just standing around. It's like leave,
Right.
or just go in the parking lot where you can. It's like because they would just it's like eventually they'll meander to your spot. But how Pokemon Go worked, which we didn't know about, the more people playing it, the harder it was to catch things.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Because like you could only catch so much Arcanine you could catch in the area sometimes, if I remember correctly, and they would disappear, and then suddenly they would like take another hour for it would take like an hour for them to start spawning again, to the point where the whole store was surrounded with Pidgeys and no Arcanine. I mean, not or no Growlithe, my mistake. No Growlithe. It's like crazy.
Man, I'm glad I didn't have to deal with that part of it. One of the notable changes in the Pokemon Company, though, is that they are instituting a mandate for the COVID vaccine. In order to participate in all official Pokemon events, all the participants must be vaccinated. That's going to be a touchy subject. That's going to be something that players are going to fight back against, and you're seeing that right now in schools and airports. It's a mess. It's one of those things. Pokemon can do it though. I'm a little more lenient on as far as companies like that because it's not a necessity. You don't have to. I guess you can make an argument that some of these players might make a livelihood out of winning these tournaments, but tournaments have been out for 2 years at this point. So I
Mhm.
don't see how that's really an argument. But I could see how players might get frustrated at the mandate, and that's still sometime next year when they'll actually activate these tournaments. There's time for them to either back off on it or go ahead and really, double down on that mandate. But that is something that they did announce for these events.
The only reason that it would be any hassle because I live in a state where the governor said, "Oh, we're not going to follow any mandates that anybody puts out," and I said, "Oh, that's interesting." And then there is the fact of for the TGCs they do have a youth group, and the people who are at a certain age bracket and younger, they're not able to even touch the stuff. They will get the thing yet. So
Mhm.
I don't know how that's going to affect anything. This might be for only the adult players. Who knows?
Yeah, certain
We'll see how it
brackets.
goes out because the brackets for the youth start at 10, I believe. Starts at 10 to 15, 10 to 15 or 16 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Or at least like underage, where it's like under 18, and you can't even get it until you're 12. So I
Right.
don't know how that's going to go. It's going to be weird. They might end up having to keep the children separate and keep them on offline, and then only the adults can do online, which is, it's like usually people have like family affairs for these things. It's like, oh, my son got into a thing. It's like, let's take the whole family, even though
Mhm.
most of the family doesn't get it. But we get it enough to understand that he's winning money, so who cares? But it's like, oh no, Timmy can't go because Timmy can't get vaccinated. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of complications going on.
Mhm.
I feel like this is a different kind of time from back when the influenza virus became huge and widespread, and everybody's just going to go along with everything because they just say the government. Listen to the government; they know what they're talking about. Back then, it's like now it's like no, who knows what the government's talking about? Because half of them are crazy.
There's plenty of time. It's still too early. We will see what they end up doing next year. Here's something, probably the biggest news story that we have this week. You put up a live reaction video on the Lazy Gaming Guys YouTube channel, which I was really happy to see. I want to see more of those. Anytime you guys do a live reaction, and it's few and far between, but for this reveal, it was a must. In a video hosted by Masahiro Sakurai, the Super Smash Bros. Series director revealed that Sora from Kingdom of Hearts will be the final DLC character added to Smash Bros. Ultimate on October 18th. How do you feel, Julian?
Oh my god. So, if you haven't seen, for those of you who haven't seen that video on youtube.com/lazygamingguys, there is a video of me and Jacques, who is another host on Lazy Gaming Guys, reacting to said announcement. I broke out into tears. You couldn't see it, but you see me occasionally wiping my eyes and keeping my eyes clear and looking down away from the camera because of my shame. Because I'm like, oh crap, I'm recording this and I can't stop the tears from flowing. I was happy. I'm lucky that I was too busy being angry at Jacques about his our little bet to make me eat paper of Sora was actually announced after apparently a supposed leak.
So you didn't think it was going to be Sora?
I don't believe because everybody who claims that they called this when the leak comes out, especially that 4chan person that posted it, let's all be real. They got lucky. No one ever knows what the hell goes on in that brain of Sakurai, because he has all these. Because half the time his staff unless they're like the ones who help make the thing don't say anything, and then even if he found out they said something, someone's job's going down, and they would know better. Every person who says, "Oh, this character's gonna come out," I don't believe them. So this happening was surprising, especially with the big problem looming in the background that everybody thought was going to keep this from ever being a thing, which is the Disney company essentially holding like about, I want to say 2/5. I can't remember how much of it is, but between Square Enix, Disney, and Tetsuya Nomura, the director of Final Fantasy XIV, the director of Kingdom Hearts, they all essentially have like hold of the rights of Sora, and it's a confuddled mess to get rights to get him to do anything. Just for them to get him into the parks in Japan was a hassle and a half. And then he only showed up like a few times, and maybe once here in the States during a special event in, I think, Disneyland or Magic Kingdom maybe. And that was once, and then he never showed up again. But this whole announcement was a godsend. Somebody at Disney just said, "We don't care. Go ahead and do it. Don't ask for Donald and Goofy, because if you do, we want the money." That also might have been the reason why there's very little Mii Fighter costumes in this one, because Nintendo ran out of money trying to get Sora. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it because a lot of people think the same thing. Because it's like, oh, this Mii Fighter costume list was very lackluster. We've never had, it's like 2 hats and Doom Guy. And then it's like 2 Nintendo character hats and Doom Guy, because they're trying to promote Splatoon 3, and then Doom just because it's Doom and it has a Nintendo presence, so that's fine. Just having Sora announced was crazy. The entire presentation was beautiful. Everybody's already claiming he's going to be broken as shit, but everybody said the same thing about Kazuya, and people are still kicking from Tekken, and people are still not winning with him as much as they thought they would online, and they're still using some of the same characters, because every time one of these characters comes out, everybody gets buffs or like debuffed in a certain way. They're always editing technically Smash Brothers. When Smash Brothers first came out, a lot of characters have different stats than they used to. It's amazing that they sneak this stuff in to the people who don't pay attention, because it's like you look at the news and it's like, oh, this person got out. Also, we buffed. Also, further down the list, if you keep looking, it's like, oh, Diddy Kong's nut shooter, we lowered the damage to like 0.2%, or Mario can't jump a little bit higher that you would not even notice because you don't, unless you're competitive, you're never going to notice that. So
Mhm.
when Sora comes out, shit's going to get changed. And then even after he comes out, they're going to tweak it again. They're going to tweak with this, work with that, because Smash Brothers is like any other fighting game. It's never going to be perfect until after like they have like people fighting each other a bunch and getting and constantly getting information from from the people who they actually do ask, and the fighter and the online community is up and low as it is. Once again, this whole Sora thing, it's amazing. The people who say that Sora doesn't belong in Smash Brothers, he's not as iconic. It's like we don't need another anime boy to be iconic. It's like screw you. Kingdom Hearts went from that dumb Japanese Disney game to the crazy worldwide phenomenon to where people who didn't even know shit about Kingdom Hearts are playing
Mhm.
number 3. So Kingdom Hearts is now a worldwide phenomenon. There's like they sell they have like realistic merch that's impossible to find. There's a chess set out there right now that's over $700.
Wow.
Why? Fucking because they can do that. Because it's a huge thing. It makes Square Enix the majority of their money these days. That's not because Final Fantasy only can do so much because the fan base of Final Fantasy winning. Well, Kingdom Hearts' fan base has gone on the rise. Kingdom Hearts is a worldwide phenomenon, and I've been here from day one, and I love it.
I'm gonna back up a little bit. What Diddy Kong? He got nerfed in what? What was it, like a projectile thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just it was an example. It wasn't exactly what happened, but a lot of characters get their damage numbers tweaked
Uh
around
huh.
a
What
lot
What was
in
Diddy's
Smash
called
Brothers.
though?
Oh, fucking, I don't. What's the damn fucking nut shooter? I don't fucking.
I've got your nut
I don't
shooter right here.
peanut shooter. Fucking whatever. See
That's the only
there,
reason I
you
wanted you to
couldn't
bring
even. You
that.
couldn't. In. I don't care if this is your podcast. You couldn't go a moment without making that joke, could you? Could you? You drag it to
There's
my streams, and now I'm forced to sit here and accept it now.
I'm what
You
onto
know
your
what?
streams?
No.
Go ahead, repeat what you said. I've got another one.
No. I'm not. I don't want to play this game anymore. I'm done.
There's
I'm
been
done. You
several
might get.
hosts. Yeah, like Scott said something last week, and I was like, "Oh, I could have done it," but now I'm like remembering. I'm like, I'm gonna remember each time someone says something. Oh,
So
I
this
got to
is
tell you.
Scott's fault now.
Yeah, you can blame Scott. There you go. I remember I was listening to your podcast from a couple weeks back. Both you and Jacques and all three of you unanimously were like, it's not going to be Sora. There's no way they're ever going to do that. It's impossible because of exactly what you said. Disney, Square, and all of these different hands involved would all have to agree, and it's near impossible to do. And it ended up happening, and I was surprised, I was shocked, but I did see that leak and I actually put a lot of stock into it because of the evidence behind it about these songs being requested for that event. So the rights to those songs being played. And that was like, okay, that's a pretty big deal. Either they're going to announce a Kingdom of Hearts collection on the Switch that they're going to announce for the Smash Brothers event, which doesn't make sense, or they're going to announce something related to Smash and Kingdom of Hearts. And lo and behold, it ended up being Sora. It was still cool to watch. It was awesome seeing the reveal. I was not surprised, as you already mentioned, to not see Donald, Goofy, or any other Disney character. It was literally the bare minimum of what they can do for Kingdom of Hearts. I'm assuming that characters like Riku and the organization members are probably all Square Enix owned, which is why they were able to use them in the stages.
Yes, that's
Okay.
yeah, because they only have all the pretty anime people from the game, and that not a single Disney property in sight. Like in one of the stages, it transfers to the dream state that you see in a lot of the Kingdom Hearts games, where it's like stained glass, where it's like these stained glass platforms. And on one of the stained glass platforms, Sora's it's supposed to have Donald and Goofy on it,
Mm-hmm.
and they are replaced with random stupid like a star on a ship or something. And the same thing happens with Riku because he has one with Mickey on it, and of course that's going to be gone.
Yeah.
How we don't know how much money it took for them to be able to show the Mickey head on the Kingdom
Yeah,
Key.
right.
Just it's like how many thousands of dollars did they lose just for that symbol alone?
That's probably why they zoomed in on it when they did the reveal. Like, we paid fucking $5,000 for that shit. We're going to show this and milk it because that was expensive. We're not just going to have it be a part of the character model.
It's like no. It's like nah. It's not. It's not Mickey, everybody. It's Scrooge McDuck. It's the version. You know, you're gonna be Scrooge in freaking Smash Brothers. They got Scrooge McDuck, but not anything else. No Huey, no Dewey, no Louie, no nothing else. It's Scrooge. I mean, that would have been hilarious if it was Scrooge. To be honest, I thought Sora. If Sora was gonna be anything in Smash Brothers, I thought he was gonna be a Mii fighter. I told Jock if he gets announced, it's Mii fighter time. That's the only reason why. It's like they got all these songs just like what they did with Undertale and Sans, where they got like Megalovania, that one song, and they're gonna get all these songs, just get like maybe 2 songs for Sora to show up, and then it's like gonna be stuff that's not even. And then all the people who wanted the openings from Kingdom Hearts to be in there, what's wrong with you people? Those have Japanese Sony Music Corporation copyrights around them, to the point where even if Kingdom Hearts gameplay can be shown, as soon as you play any part of those songs in like a certain level, instant blocked, no monetization, because because these music companies will do everything and anything to keep hold of any of the money they can get on YouTube.
And that's some of the things that I've been seeing is that people were complaining about the music that got added on for Smash Brothers that didn't involve the main tunes from the games. There was more like instrumental recreations of certain ones and certain stages. And that also some complaints about the colors or the different outfits that they ended up using for Sora. And I'm like, man, they could have just gotten away with no different outfits, no fucking music, and said, here's Sora though, and be grateful for that, because just the fact that we even got that alone, like the bonus costumes and the music should be like bonuses, because this is fucking unreal.
Everybody should remember what happened with Cloud during Smash 4 and then the beginning of Ultimate, where all Cloud had were 3 songs and a stage, and that was it. Cloud, literally, the Final Fantasy VII stages, well, that was it. It's like, oh, can we have more stuff? No. Can we have an English voice actor? No. No, you don't get anything else. The fact that we even got Sephiroth and then even like more music as a character was showing that Square's kind of like loosening its purse strings on being so stingent. Because Square Enix is a very stingent company when it comes to letting some of their properties be used, especially after like a couple of bad anime. Like, well, some people like the anime. Scott likes the Final Fantasy Unlimited anime. I don't. The movie that they produced, which wasn't too Final Fantasy Spirits Within, that didn't do so hot, and then like a couple of crossover games that they would stick just maybe Cloud in, and then that's Cloud, and then that's it. But like Square Enix doesn't like to just do these things. So it's like, oh no, people have access to this and that, and then people are going to try and use these assets, and we don't want them using our assets. Those are our assets, because we were a dying company before recently, when 15 and 14 sold very well and has been keeping our company afloat for God knows how for the last 3-4 years.
Before we go into the other announcement that they had here that was related to the character reveal, the video presentation was a deep dive. It was like over 40 minutes of showing off the character's moveset, detailed look at this stage. And then Masahiro said something that I thought was interesting, where he was essentially saying that since Brawl, I believe, they were trying to get Sora into Smash Bros. Ultimate. He revealed that, I believe he said it was the most requested character when they did those polls, or at least one of, and that they couldn't reveal the full list, but that, rest assured that Sora was one of the most requested characters. And I'm sitting here like, you can't reveal the list because number 1 is Cory in the House, number 2 is Superman, and number 3 is fucking Goku. That's the real list. Let's be real.
The number 1 was let's be real. Number 1 in that list was fucking Goku, most likely, because everybody's an idiot. It's like,
fine, but closely followed by Cory in the House and Superman. All right.
You forgot to put Shrek in there too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Shrek for Smash. He's kicking out his Shrek. He's kicking out his swamp. Even though Shrek's had its own Smash Brothers clone type things and its own video games, and my nephew owned one of them when he was younger, and it was entertaining enough to keep me and the family entertained.
But that's why I was convinced. I'm like, okay, so in reality, Sora, when you put all those straight up, Sora was probably like the 6th most requested. Bayonetta, when they're like, she was very requested. I'm like, what, the 16th? Because it's the only one that you can actually probably get.
Because you guys didn't, because they didn't want to try it, because all the Waluigi and Gino Gino fanboys, they just kept ignoring them, and they continue to ignore them to this day.
They do.
So now,
they really do.
No Waluigi, no Gino, just to go sit in the corner. And then the weird amount of people who wanted Master Chief. I'm like, why?
That's the one that I thought was going to be announced, honestly, because we got Banjo-Kazooie, we have M-rated characters like Bayonetta, and I'm like, and Microsoft and Nintendo have been playing nice for the last couple of years. Like, they've been really close. So I'm like, we're probably going to see Master Chief.
The problem with this whole, except for like maybe one character, but he has had at least one iteration of a game on a Nintendo console. Most of the characters in Smash Brothers have had a presence on a Nintendo console at least once.
What was the exception?
The exception for a while was Cloud until until Final Fantasy VII Remaster that they released on PC and PlayStation for a while came out to Switch.
But that was after Cloud was in Smash, right?
That was already after Cloud was in Smash.
Well, see, that's why
Cloud got in Smash. That broke the camel's back on can we do this?
Exactly.
That's why my argument. I remember me and Scott or Jack having a conversation about this, and then that's like, but what about this? Like, I know that breaks the camel's back. Why in the heck? But Final Fantasy has had a huge Nintendo presence at the beginning of its lifespan, and I think if you put anybody from Final Fantasy in Smash Brothers, they're gonna put Cloud in it because he's so iconic. At this point, it's just breaking icons over breaking what are you gonna put the Warrior of Light, like a generic red dude, the black mage looking thing in its pixel form on there? It's like, no, everybody's like, why did you just put Cloud in it? If even Snake had the one GameCube game, and then like his previous incarnation before Solid came out were on Nintendo's, was on the Famicom, Super Famicom and stuff. And then the King of Fighters character, he had a couple of crossover games, the Capcom versus crossover games that happened on the GameCube. And then I think a couple, and then like they had for the Wii U, I think, or something, they had the virtual console games where some of the King of Fighters games ended up on virtual console, if I remember correctly. Who else is there? That then of course everybody argues Banjo's on there, and he's owned by Microsoft. Banjo is a N64 icon. Everybody, he started as one. Just because Microsoft got the rights to an N64 icon doesn't mean it's not still iconic to the N64.
Right. Well, their argument though is that they can still use Microsoft-owned characters to show up in Smash Brothers. If they did it with Banjo, then it's very possible that honestly, it was more possible for Master Chief to end up in Smash than Sora.
Yeah,
let's be real.
I was believing that. I'm not gonna lie. I would have believed they would have put him in there as like a Mii fighter, like they did with Doom Guy, or even a character, or even more of a character than Sora would have been anyway.
Yeah,
because especially if they did announce Master Chief as a character instead of Sora in that one timeline where they did do this, they also announced like Halo being on like a copy of Halo being on Switch right now, and Halo now officially no longer is a Microsoft only game anymore. Now it has ported to something else. Congratulations, Microsoft! You managed to port your only character that has not been ported to any other thing that's not maybe a PC onto another system, and then it's the Switch of all things. That would have been, if they had ported Halos 1, 2, or 3 to the Switch, I would have bought that in a heartbeat. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, of course. It would have made them a lot of money.
How it looks portably, how it looks on the screen, how it's like what they changed about it. If they added if they took out some things, or if they heavily M-rated, if they kept it heavily M-rated or something, who knows? Because even on the Switch, freaking Doom is still heavily M-rated, and it's still hilarious and amazing. So I don't know. Damn it. I kind of did, now that I think about it, seeing Master Chief in this would have been hilarious, because it's like it would have been Snake all over again. Yep. A very military heavy type thing. It's like they would have had a lot of, it wouldn't have been a lot of dialogue in him. It would have been mostly just I don't know what they would have been able to do with him. Like, a lot of people come up with ideas of how they would have made it for fighting stuff. Yeah, that's interesting, but what's the stage? What's the stage? What's the music that they're going to use? Because What can you tell me besides like a couple of songs that are really iconic from, except like the opening from Halos, and then the dun 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 dun, the whole like epic Master Chief fighting music thing. What other music can you think of? Please, anybody who's listening to this podcast, freaking send me like any music that you can find to my Twitter at Kage0 on Twitter, Kage023, or King Julian, or whatever I'm saying. Just send me some music for this, so I can see what would have been in Smash Brothers besides like maybe 2 or 3 songs.
In that other multiverse where we have no COVID and we did get Master Chief. So the last thing with this presentation, before we move on from Sora, which is huge, they also included a surprise announcement that several games in the Kingdom of Hearts series will be coming to the Switch system as cloud titles. So this includes Kingdom of Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 Remix, cloud version is what they're calling him, Kingdom of Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and Kingdom of Hearts 3 plus Remind, another cloud version. So that's a pretty big deal, and I think a lot of Smash Brothers players who maybe had no access to playing these games, especially after they play Sora in Smash Brothers, will probably be picking these up.
I already know. Scott already told me he's gonna get them, but they're cloud versions though.
Yeah, no,
do you feel like Do you feel like having like a pseudo downloaded video game on the thing? And he's like, I'll think about it. And I think he, when he found out about the cloud version part, I think he's less inclined to get it. But who knows?
Right.
But with these cloud version games, it's essentially like PlayStation Now all over again. I don't know what I'm gonna do about it. I might try to get the 2.5, 2.5 remix, and I might just to see what it's like and then leave it at that, or see what the prices are for them, because we haven't gotten all the information yet. They're going to be releasing more information on them later on in the year, he said, or like later on they're going to be releasing the information for these. We'll see what happens with it, because that's the big button issue for this is everyone's like cloud versions. Like I'm not going to be able to own Kingdom Hearts. It's like, really, if you're really worried about owning the entirety of Kingdom Hearts, you do know that this is the 3rd time they re-released everything. Technically, 1.5, 2.5 Remix, and 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue are on the PS4, in an entire collection called The Story So Far. Kingdom Hearts: The Story So Far. One disc is like 1 or 2 discs of it, and you just put the damn thing in, and then you get every single game that ever except for Kingdom Hearts 3. And also for the people who are like, oh, Nintendo gets the cloud versions, be happy that you get the cloud versions. Microsoft doesn't even get 1.5, 2.5, or 2.8. Microsoft still just has 3. I don't know why. Square Enix, why are you giving the Microsoft fans who bought Kingdom Hearts 3 the shaft so much? I don't know why you bought it on the Xbox, to be honest with you, unless you were one of those Xbox fans who was just curious. But who knows?
I am excited to play as Sora eventually. Now that I'm unemployed, I'm a bum, I'll be able to maybe scrap enough money to get the DLC. I think by itself it's $5.99 or something like that, so I might jump on that. But now that I have a little bit of time, hopefully, Kingdom of Hearts 3, I'm going to probably restart it, switch it on over to easy mode, and bug the hell out of you and Scott when I get stuck on bosses. So get ready for that.
Not only there's an easy mode, there's even a new mode that allows you to like add features and take out features in the game now, so it's like it can make it even easier or harder for you if you want.
All right, well, perfect. Good for old man Daniel, Dad Daniel. Now they can't really he's not really a gamer anymore, so I'll give that a shot, and I'm excited to really finish Kingdom of Hearts 3 this time. Moving along to some movie news. After a stellar opening weekend internationally, James Bond, No Time to Die opened in North America in the #1 spot on the box office. No Time to Die finished at $56 million, a bit short of its $60 million estimate. In total, though, it has crossed the $250 million mark. Wow. Apparently, once again, the pandemic only affected the box office for Pedo Gun Suicide Squad. It's really weird how all those apologists said it's because of the pandemic that movie bombed. It's like, really? Because every other movie before and after it have done amazing. So
Is it
Venom
Venom
2
2?
did great. Yeah.
Is it Venom 2? It's not Venom 2. That's why I don't. That's why I don't care. That's why I don't care about the Suicide Squad. It's not Venom 2 because I'm like, when I heard Venom 2 was coming out, I was like, oh, Venom 2 is coming out.
Hell
Good.
yeah.
I still need to go see that. I was planning on going to see it after work tomorrow, but because I haven't had time today, because I had to get ready for this and had to be adult errands. Boo. But I'm really excited to see Venom, and I'm managing to stay away from spoilers because I don't want anybody spoiling it for me.
Very
So
good.
I want to see Venom. Venom is one of my favorite Spider-Man characters, not for any particular reason. It's like, no, I'm just a sad gay man who likes Venom.
I didn't know he was one of your guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Only version of Venom I'm not a big fan of is the Scorpion one. When the dude who Scorpion becomes Venom, that was
anti-Venom.
a bad time. But hey, but Eddie was still anti-Venom, and that's
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
right. Yeah. Well, are you gonna see No Time to Die at all after you end up catching Venom 2? Are you a Bond fan?
My Bond fandom has been weird. Most of the time it's like video game wise when it comes to Bond games I was into, like, because everybody was into, GoldenEye and
Sure.
But I didn't play GoldenEye. The first Bond game I played was 007 Nightfire.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
That was because it was a GameCube game that my friend would rent a bunch whenever he would bring his GameCube over, and we would play the hell out of that in 4-player mode. And there was one snow stage where there were 2 rocket launchers in 2 separate places. One in like this cathedral and one on this mansion roof or the ski lodge roof. So essentially, 2 people would get up. One of us would get up. 2 of us would get up there and start shooting at each other with the guided missiles to see who would actually reach the other one first. For the guided missile would either stop or explode from the other one. And essentially, like after a certain point, like the computers once started racking up health, they would find you, get up there, and then they would like computer like Oddjob would just throw his hat at you, and suddenly you just hear this dink, and then you're dead on the floor with a hat next to you. It was there were some crazy games, but then like I actually, because of those games, I actually did go back, watch the movies. I like From Russia with Love and Goldfinger, and
there's GoldenEye, World's Not Enough, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies, the one with Halle Berry in it, right? That's what Halle Berry in it, right?
I think so.
That's the one with Halle Berry in the beach scene, and like she's in her bikini, like doing the hair thing or whatever the fuck. But yeah. So that one I've seen, and then I've seen all the recent ones, like oh god, I forgot the names.
Daniel Craig ones, Casino Royale, yeah, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall.
Skyfall, that's the one. I really like Skyfall.
Skyfall's amazing. That. Yeah. Casino Royale is my favorite still. Skyfall is my second. It's interesting because No Time to Die, they were projecting it to hit the $60 million. It's still a success. It's not a flop at all. But they were saying that it didn't make as much as they would have liked because of the older audience that is following the Craig movies, because this is the 5th one in the series, so they're not exactly gaining new members of Daniel Craig's Bond. You know what I mean? No one's jumping in on this franchise and going, oh, what is this about? It's already like, this is the last of this iteration of Bond. So this is kind of it. And also the longer runtime, it's the longest of the Bond movies that Daniel Craig made. It might be even one of the longest in the series, which means less screenings at the box office. And that's a whole different argument. So there wasn't really a surprise there, but it's still doing really well. And I'm excited to see what the future of the Bond franchise is. Daniel Craig is an incredible Bond. He is my favorite one. I know there was a lot of criticism back when he was cast. They were calling him James Blonde. That was a huge deal. And it ended up winning people over. It won me over. I wasn't exactly a critic of it, but I was like, yeah, let's give this a shot. And Casino Royale ended up being awesome. Same director as GoldenEye. And I'm glad it's doing really well at the box office. So good on Craig and the rest of the Bond team.
Yep, good for them. Good for them. I mean, $4 million, that's what you expected. That's still a good amount.
Yeah, especially during this time that people are saying, once again, I think theaters are going to be okay now. I think, and I know a lot of them are struggling, but what I'm saying is that audiences are ready to get back in theaters. They've proven it time and time again, especially with all of these movies that I've released that have done extremely well. Holidays are coming up. People love going to the movies during the holidays. Those movies are also going to be successful. Any theaters that did make it through the closures, hang in there and just enjoy these spike of box office and concession sales. If you truly go to a theater that you want to support, that you enjoy, make sure to buy. I know they're expensive, but that's how they make their money. Buy something at the concession stands because they make their bulk of their income through the concessions. I used to work at AMC theaters, no exception there. Same thing. Most of the ticket sales go to the studios. A small portion of it goes to the theater, but most of it goes to the studios and the distribution companies, which is why popcorn is $6, $7, $8, $9. They have to make up for that in some way, and you got to have your popcorn when you go to the theater. So if you like your theater, make sure to pick up a little something extra.
Yeah, I gotta always have my box of bunch of crunch or maybe a gummy thing or something, and always have to have my. And I tend to bring. It's like I don't pay for water at the theater because it's way too expensive for water. But I do pay for a drink, and I am an adult, so I know how to have a drink and hold my pee and not have to get up in the middle of the theater.
You're not an MCU fan.
No, I sat through that long movie without having to get up to pee once.
Yeah, you're an adult. See. We also got some news out of New York Comic Con. A new trailer was released for Dragon Ball Super Superhero, and this one has this new animation style that they played around with in the recent Broly movie. It's fully CG. It's a little awkward. It's a little weird for me. I know when I see it, I'll get used to it. I got used to it when they did the Broly scenes, even though it was a little jarring sometimes. I was still like, okay, it's still fun and exciting, and the animations, whatever. The fighting is cool. What was your impression of this trailer?
Now, I play Dragon Ball Z video games. Essentially, this is a cut. This looks like a cut. This looks like it was a cutscene out of the recent game Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Yeah.
So this is not completely this is not jarring to me. This is essentially like if you told me this was a video game, this was one of the new video games, I would have believed you. Oh wait, this is the movie. Oh, this is actually pretty good. So I'm not as much as I love normally animated things. I'm not again. I know that a lot of these Japanese CGI companies are getting better at it because they're not freaking Pixar or DreamWorks or Illumination or all those people over here in the West who've gotten this 3D thing down already. The Japanese are still trying to break out of their old shells and use 3D take 3D into more of outside of video games. And it's been really good to see it because some of them integrate it into their animation. Like they'll use the 3D as a base and then they animate on top, and they put actual 2D drawn animation on top of it, and it looks freaking gorgeous in some shows. And then other shows it just looks jarring and weird, like it did in the Broly movie, where sometimes it's like, or even worse when they came out with Battle of the Gods. The 3D in that was like they're flying and suddenly, oh, this isn't 3D. This is this is ugly. This is crazy. This is weird. I don't like it. I like it, but I feel that mostly them making it in 3D, it takes a little less hands on to make this. Unlike here, Japan has like super huge spikes of everybody separate, everybody don't, and then it's crazy how, and so this allows them to actually be able to work on this from home as well as being out there. And then when they're making it 3D, because it's a lot easier to work with 3D stuff outside the house than it is for them to 2D animate in one of their studios somewhere, which they couldn't have access to for the longest time. That's another reason why I'm surprised that I'm not surprised that it's all CG, because this movie really would come out it's going to come out a lot faster now that it's in 3D, and it's essentially being made by like the people who essentially make the video games. So that's what, like I said earlier, that's what this is. This is one of the video game animators finally actually getting to do an actual movie, a CG related movie. The only issue is that when it comes to the English, if they release this in English, they might have an issue with lip flaps, because when they animate these things, they animate the lip flaps to be in Japanese, and then in the video games, you can see that pretty badly. Sometimes they will actually put in the effort on the Western sides to animate the lip flaps into whatever language they want to, but sometimes they don't get that option, and then they just dub over it, and it's pretty bad. But we'll see what happens. I was super excited when I saw this. Next time they release a trailer, hopefully it's with dialogue,
right?
So we can actually see them talking and seeing what the hell is going on, because I don't know what the hell is going on in here. It's like There's pictures of Goku, Vegeta, and Boo looking all angry and looking all angry and sinister for some reason. There's some kind of pudgy rich man in a car. There's this dude with a 2 on his chest with a gun, and he's fighting Piccolo for some reason. What the hell's going on here? And it's like this is gonna like I'm excited, but and also asking a lot of questions. That's what a good trailer should do.
Right.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah, and
I like what I see. What's going to happen and all that good jazz.
And I don't know if you know the answers to this, so feel free to be like, yeah, I'm not sure. You did see Broly in this. I'm assuming it takes place after the Broly film. Does this take place after the current Moro arc that's going on in the manga?
Okay, so the anime and the manga have split in their interpretations, I believe, from what I've been told. So because even the Dragon Ball manga and the anime have always had their ups and have their differences, because the manga essentially had to start adapting everything from Battle of the Gods, started adapting everything from the anime movies that were coming out for a while, and then when the anime came out, they just started changing a couple things here and there. Not everything is 100%, and then from what I've heard from Scott and everybody else who tells me about these mangas, because I don't read the current mangas, because when they got to a certain point in the manga where it started sounding a little ridiculous and, dare I say, like bad fanficky, I kind of was like checked out. Like, I'll just go watch this other stupid fanfiction thing that mostly has battles in it, and I'm interested in it because right now they have this anime called Dragon Ball Heroes.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and Dragon Ball Heroes, from the day it was incepted back when it was just an arcade game with like collectible. It was an arcade game that used collectible trading cards as things to help you fight in it. It has been a what if ridiculous ride from beginning to where it is now. It has like Super Saiyan 4 Gohans and
Vegeta versus Gogeta.
Vegeta versus Gogetas and Super Saiyan God Trunks with a ridiculous, like he has hair down to his shoulders. He has a ridiculous sword with the chains around his arm and is like blue, and it's like this crazy spirit sword thing. And then they have like Super Saiyan God Goku in like freaking the one of the outfits from one of the angel characters, like from that watch over the gods of destruction type deal. Why is he in that outfit? What the hell's going on? It's so dumb. And then like the son of Deborah is like a major character in these things now. It's so stupid, and I love it.
Well, I'm going to be watching it, and I am reading the manga, and I'm going to be watching this as well. So I've got answered a couple of questions there. That's pretty interesting. I do like the different direction that the manga takes as opposed to the show, especially in the recent Tournament of Power and the way they handled Roshi specifically. But I still enjoy watching the manga or the anime as well whenever I can, and this will not be an exception. I do want to jump ahead a little bit to another bit of anime news before we cover some DC Comics and regular comic news. The Cowboy Bebop anime will be heading to Netflix ahead of the live-action series debut, which makes sense. Netflix has done these kinds of deals in the past before. It is currently unclear as to whether or not this will be an exclusive deal that impacts the anime's availability with Funimation or Hulu. That remains to be seen, but if you want to watch the anime before you check out the live-action adaptation, or what's considered by many to be one of the best Western shows, not even just best anime, one of the best Western shows you could watch, please check out Cowboy Bebop. It's only one season. I love it. It's my favorite anime. It's incredible. I'm rewatching it again right now because I'm going to be watching the live action series. So it's highly recommended. And even if you haven't seen it in a couple of years, go back and rewatch it. It is going to be on Netflix. Buy it. It's on Vudu. I own it on Vudu, and I'll be watching it on Netflix as well. So that's pretty exciting. But on a funny related note, and this kind of took me, I was like, what? Is that reading right? No, that's right. The original Japanese voice cast for the Cowboy Bebop anime series, they're set to reprise each of their roles for the Japanese dub of the live-action adaptation. So that's got to twist weebs' minds up a bit, especially the ones that are against the live-action adaptation.
Oh, those poor weebs. Okay, so I remember when they first announced this and showed the opening for the Cowboy Bebop live action series. It was a good adaptation of the opening tank that they have from it. They used the song, which was amazing because it's all just trumpets. There's no vocals in it. And then they used like some of the iconic, block movements and the silhouetting and all that stuff. And it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I read the comments and that was a bad idea. I shouldn't have read the comments. I should have stayed away from the comments. I should always stay away from the comments of these things. All the people are bitching. The big thing that people are bitching about, which I also asked the same question, where's Ed? Where's Ed?
You got to wait for season 2.
Yeah, it's like, what, everybody, you have to understand, this is a show, not a movie. Or is it a movie, not a show?
It's a show, yeah.
It's a show. So it's a show. Also, Ed in the series, the Ed in the series, especially like the whole series of Cowboy Bebop, it is a story about Spike and Jet first.
Yes.
Even Faye and Ed are secondary.
Right.
Whenever there's an episode centered on Spike and Jet, Ed and Faye are rarely seen. Unless they are part of the plot of that episode, you will not see them. Because especially in Jet episodes, suddenly everybody else disappears except for Spike just making that one-off comment like, "Hey, go take care. Yeah, go do what you want. I'm not your bad. Go do what you want. You can go do what you want. You can, just come back or whatever." Because Jet has literally his own episodes where it's centered around him and stuff from his past, and it's great. And when Ed shows up, Ed's episodes usually involve something weird happening, and then it's on the ship because Ed never leaves the ship.
Yeah,
never leaves the ship. If we're gonna establish, we have to establish like the world first, before we can, I feel, and make like stuff outside before they actually have the ship. Because as much as I would love to see the crazy episode with the freaking mutant old refrigerator food, that's good. I'm not expecting it in this because it'd be hilarious if they did it, but because it was like a whole like random Ridley Scott alien episode.
And Ed didn't even show up until pretty well into the season.
Exactly.
Ed wasn't there from the very beginning, so that didn't really bother me too much as a fan of the original anime. And I don't know, I'm open-minded about it. I do want to check it out, and I will watch it. And you know what? If I don't like it, if I hate it, I'll say the same thing as when they announced it. I have the anime. Everything's going to be fine. It's not ruining the anime for me.
I watched the anime's been aired on Adult Swim for over a decade.
Yes.
I literally rewatched it to the point where I would randomly wake up in the middle of the night, see an episode is on, it could be halfway through the episode, and I already know what the plot is. And I also own Cowboy Bebop. I decided at one point, like a couple of years ago, I'm like, I need to, I watched Cowboy Bebop to death, but I never own. Why have I not owned this? I should own this already. So I bought Cowboy Bebop. I own it. It's an amazing show. No wonder it aired for like freaking decade. It's iconic anime. It's an iconic anime show. Even it's just iconic. Period. There's so many things that like a lot of space opera shows model themselves after Cowboy Bebop in some way, shape, or form. Because it's a good like show that it's not about like the space. It's not a space opera. It's not some kind of giant robot war thing. It's essentially some kind of weird drama, and it's this weird drama, space type drama thing that it doesn't even follow. Like I said, doesn't follow normal space dramas that you see in anime, or even like something like Star Trek or something. It's different. It doesn't, like, not every episode has to be watched in order. That's the great thing about Cowboy Bebop. You can watch a lot of episodes out of order, and except for when like we said, when Ed shows up. When Ed shows up, you have to watch the episode where Ed shows up, and then suddenly it's like, it doesn't matter if Ed's there or not, because a lot of times Ed's just like on the back of the ship fooling around with the dog.
Yeah.
Ed doesn't really need to be there. It's like once they bring in Ed, it's going to be like, okay, full season 2, whole cast is here. Great. Good. Do not label the show as a bad adaptation, because you can't. The only way they can badly adapt Cowboy Bebop at this point is by hiring people who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, which is very possible, If
the actors don't nail these characters or try to be too much, like, you can't be Steve Bloom, everybody. Don't try to be Steve Bloom. You can't be that smooth talker. You can't be that smooth talking voice actor man. He's been doing this for a very long time. You can't imitate the voice actor for Jet either. You're gonna have to bring your own energy to the table. I know the dudes who are acting in the show are not gonna see this, but if they ever hear about this, please just do yourself a favor. Don't try to imitate the voice actors. Be your own characters. Make them understand who they are, and if you make them like. And if you could, it's like, as long as you understand who the character of Jet and Spike are, that's all you need.
You heard it from Julian right there. Something here with the possibility of Joker 2. On the playlist, Joaquin Phoenix was asked. He keeps getting asked about it because this movie, the first Joker, made $1 billion fucking dollars. It made a lot of money. It's the number one highest grossing film in October.
I have to admit, it was a good movie. I couldn't even though I had to watch it a second time to understand everything. It was to like completely digest everything, because when I'm in a theater, I'm bad at digesting some things. But it was good. I can admit, as much as I'm more of I need action in my movies, and I need something to keep my interest. This movie did it without any jokes aside. It's overrelated action. I said, "Oh crap! I forgot. I actually can go see a movie in a theater without it being some kind of animated feature or explosion heavy fest that makes my retinas bleed."
You're growing up, Julian.
I'm getting old, I admit it.
So in this interview, Joaquin said, quote, "I mean, I don't know. From when we were shooting, we started to, this is an interesting guy. There are some things we could do with this guy and could explore further. But as to whether we actually will, I don't know." End quote. Previous rumors pointed to Warner Brothers offering the director, Todd Phillips, $50 million for 2 more Joker movies. There's no way the conversation hasn't already happened. When your movie makes $1 billion, you're going to ask, no matter how far-fetched it might be, if we can get a sequel out of this. And this was a perfectly fine standalone film. And I know a lot of people will say, why make a sequel if this is good on its own? And it's like, because it made a fucking $1 billion. They're going to want to make more fucking money.
It'd be stupid. It's kind of a stupid question if you think about it.
Yeah, it's a very dumb question.
It's like not even freaking, it's like, of course they're going to, it's like the argument with how, I actually talked about something similar to this with one of my, I'm going to admit, one of my Disney fan friends, where we were talking about the separation between when Finding Nemo came out and when Finding Dory came out. If they had brought it out a little bit sooner, it would have made more money because everybody would have had it on their minds instead of just living off nostalgia for the first movie. Some of these companies are a little too quick to make a sequel. I get that. Like a majority of these Marvel, like the Marvel Spider-Man was way too fast to make a sequel. And then another sequel, and that's why these movies suck. That's why the movies suck, and that's why and this next movie is not going to make me feel any better about it. But with this movie, it's like it made $1 billion, and it was really good. Why wouldn't they ask to make another one? This is not some lightning in a bottle moment that you managed to like make something out of. This was put together pretty. After seeing it the second time, I realized that it wasn't, like I said, lightning in a bottle. This was amazing. Amazing. You have to go see. It's like you haven't seen the movie yet and have any interest in DC anything. What are you doing?
It also goes to show you how inept Warner Brothers is, because they also pitched, and this wasn't the same director, but what Todd Phillips wanted to do is he's like, okay, I'm going to make my Joker film. And he pitched this to the older regime of Warner Brothers. These are the people that had made the Snyderverse happen. This was before the whole Zack stuff happened, and we have this new set of people who do the Hamadaverse, and they're complete morons. But Todd said this is the first in a series of DC Black films. It's just like the Black Label films or Black Label comics that they're currently, or they were doing, and they were going to do the same with the films. So these were adult movies, and Todd Phillips said, look, you guys keep trying to compete with Disney on the MCU, but we can do something that they can't, and that's R-rated movies that are going to make a shit ton of money. And they did it with Joker, and his idea was, okay, let's make a series of these out of continuity, its own universe, its own standalone movies that are R-rated, that are character studies of these villains or superheroes that are low budget and let's see what happens. And with the success of the Joker, there was a project that they had pitched, another director had pitched for a Clayface, a Black Label film for Clayface that they passed on. And that just makes me think, if you just had one of these make $1 billion, why aren't you going, oh, where's the Mr. Freeze movie? Where's the Clayface? Let's make these now. Because they're all going to make you fucking money.
Mr. Freeze. That would that would actually, I think I would cry if I saw something about that.
Of course.
Like a deep Mr. Freeze movie, because that is one thing that I have been saying about the DCU. I'm like that about the current DCU movies. Like I feel like they're trying to follow a trend that they don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to bring up animation things again, but this is my wheelhouse. Animation obsession is like my bread and butter these days. But the whole problem back in like during the 90s, where DreamWorks and even Warner Brothers and all these other companies were trying to emulate the Disney style, and they would fail at it. Like with stuff like Anastasia and the Swan Princess and Quest for Camelot and all this other stuff, and even the Don Bluth movies couldn't get away from that stigma. It was just because after The Secret of Nim and then the only movie which people think it's like, oh, it's Disney. No, Fievel Goes West. American Tail and Fievel Goes West are not supposed to be like Disney movies. They're their own movies and they're amazing. Leave them alone. But essentially, like, if you can't just be the same thing and hope you can understand, you gotta either step above, look for a different audience, because they already have their audience, and that audience is going to go see what they want. You should be trying to market to the people who are the adults in that, who are stuck in there and saying, this is okay, but I don't feel engaged.
Yeah.
Because I've been actually watching, because of everything, I've been watching a lot of stuff that are more of character studies than anything. Even like, technically, if you think about it, in the previous segment, Cowboy Bebop is like kind of like a character study a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, because like especially with Jet, because it's like we see everything from mostly in Jet's perspective in the past, and then it's like and then something comes back up and is brought to his present. So, and it shows like why he is the way he is, and that's pretty interesting. I do like to see a decent character piece now and then, and like when you mess up a character piece, it's like it's pretty telling. It just kind of disappoints me hearing this because it's like, why aren't you people understanding that there is a section, there's like people who want to see this. You don't have to market to everybody. When you market to everybody, you're gonna lose a lot more people. It's like a fishnet with holes. You're gonna lose people. You're gonna lose fish coming out of that. You're gonna catch the fish. You might catch some of the fish you want, but not all of them are gonna get caught.
That's a perfect analogy.
You're trying to use a tuna net for anchovies.
Yeah.
The anchovies are going to slip on through and keep going while I guess Bertha and Cletus over there who haven't seen them, who only go to the movies like once every like 5 months or something, and don't see a lot of movies, aren't going to really pay attention to. It's like, no, these movies are for people who actually who don't want to see the same story reiterated to them for the 100th time. I would love to see an actual character piece about freaking Spider-Man for once, instead of and seeing his inner thoughts, instead of having to worry about Spider-Man actually seeing if he's gonna save fucking Mary Jane or fucking make Gwen Stacy not die for the 18th time.
And I'm not gonna lie about a Joker 2 or 3. I would absolutely be excited to see it. If it were still under Walter Hamada, though, I'd have to, of course, boycott it, because I stand with Ray Fisher, accountability over entertainment. We have to hold these people accountable. But if that regime ends up changing with Discovery's merger, then great. Then suddenly I can be excited for a Joker 2 or Black Adam. Not the Batman or not Aquaman 2. I'm still not going to see those. But, then I can, legitimately start promoting them and talking about them more here on the podcast. And I hope that they do just as a business decision, make a Joker 2 and 3, because I think they will do well. I do have a big chunk of comic news here, or at least a big story, because after a 3-year hiatus, Saga number 55 is going to debut on Wednesday, January 26, 2022. The return of Saga is something that Palpichelli used to ask every couple of months, and every time she'd ask, I tell her, every time you ask, they're going to push it back a year. Originally, Originally, the co-creators and the creator said that it would be at least a year hiatus, and she's like, it's been 2 years, and I'm like, yes, at least a year hiatus. It's gonna continue. It's gonna be a while, and they have finally announced. The quote here from writer Brian K. Vaughan said in a statement, "Other than my own family, collaborating with Fiona Staples on Saga is the most important thing in my life, so I can't thank readers and retailers enough for their patience," end quote. In addition to winning multiple Eisner Awards, Harvey Awards, a Hugo, British Fantasy Award, Goodreads, and more, Saga has sold more than 7 million copies across its single-issue releases, trade paperbacks, compendiums, hardcovers, and digital editions. To date, the series has been translated into 20 languages. They are not releasing this as a new number 1. As I said, it's a number 55. It's going to be a double-sized issue for just $2.99. Brian K. Vaughan said there's not going to be any variants. There's no gimmicks on the release. This isn't a Marvel book. They're not going to try to milk it for they're like, we're just releasing issue number 55 because let's face it, the Saga readership is going to come back for issue 55. They don't need to try to do a new number 1 to try to get new readers, because guess what? The new readers, and the time I worked at the comic shop throughout this last decade, I saw new readers say, I want to get into something new. What do you recommend? And I'd say, check out Saga. And they'd pick it up, and sure enough, they'd come back. I had some readers that would come back and buy the rest of the volumes and say, this is great. When's the next one? And I'd be like, I don't know. They're going to do one more arc.
Well, my comment is, one, how did you let me go this long without actually looking into this? Because when I heard about this, I had to look into it. I'm like, okay, Saga, I've heard about this. I haven't ever delved into it. I'm like, oh wow, this actually seems interesting.
It's good.
Maybe this might be the sci-fi fix that I've always wanted.
Well, it's got everything in it.
Outside of your usual anime fare.
Yeah, it's definitely a sci-fi story, but the way I pitched it, and it's true, and this is why it's successful. It's funny that you brought up the net analogy, and here it works because it's got violence, romance, sex, a beautiful artwork. It covers all of its bases as far as it's going to hit a bunch of readers, but it works in this one story. All of it fits in this one story. The basic start of it is there's these two different species, a male and female. They're from warring worlds. They end up hooking up during the war. They don't fall in love. They just hook up, and she ends up getting pregnant. And they're both like, okay, so we have this crossbreed that is our child. We're going to protect it. They're still not in love, but we're going to protect this baby because if either of our races find it, they're going to kill it. And they're both soldiers from each of their worlds. So they're like, we're going to leave the war and try to protect Hazel, which is the baby. And they end up growing together, falling in love, and they parent this child. And that's where the story starts. It goes all kinds of directions. It's one of those stories where no character is safe, so your heart will be broken many times, but it's engaging as fuck. And I do hope you give it a shot because the trades are cheap. It's Image Comics. They're $9.99 for 5 or 6 issues, which is really nice.
See, I forgot it was Image. That I did not. Now I'm intrigued.
It's never going to be a show or a movie because Brian K. Vaughan already said that's this. He signed the thing that this never be adapted into one of those things. So it's always going to be a comic book, and it's really good. I do hope you check it out.
Well, from the description that I've read, you told me it's like, one, remember people, even in space, use a prophylactic. It's like, I don't care if you're in the middle of war. Make sure you have a space condom in your pocket. But it seems interesting, and the fact that it's coming back from hiatus is good. It's nice to see things come back from hiatus without having to reboot themselves completely.
Absolutely, and I know a lot of the Brocat Core members are fans of Saga. I made sure that it was on my pull list still because I want to finish the story. Kelly it's Kelly's favorite comic book of all time. She has the first printing of issue number 1 because she loves it. She's like, I'm going to track this down, and we did, and it's a beautiful, beautiful story, beautiful book. I'm excited for January. Final story we have this week, and I'm glad you're on, and I was just telling Scott that it seems to always work out that the host in the rotation, those new stories end up lining up to interests, and we had Smash Brothers Ultimate, and now we've got this, as DC has announced that the newly dubbed Superman, which is John Kent, is bisexual. And for anyone, just for clarity, because people that don't read comics took this as Superman is now gay. And
how many stupid people who saw the BuzzFeed thing from it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't right. Because why? It's like, if you look at the picture, it shows he's young,
Mhm.
and it shows he's young, and it's like, wait a minute, hold up, and that's not Batman he's kissing. So why are you all surprised? So no, there shouldn't be this huge. You're wrong, because if it's not it's not Superman kissing Batman. It's not Clark. It's not Clark.
Right. And a lot of people thought it was Superman Clark Kent that it ended up being gay. And instead it's John Kent, who is bisexual. That's Jonathan Kent Jr., that's Superman's son from Super Sons. He made his debut in, I think, 2015 in one of the future stories, and they end up making him canon, and great character. The Super Sons is an amazing comic. I haven't read Son of Kal-El, though. The recent DC comics haven't really caught me. They have a lot of up and coming writers and artists that unfortunately make the books suffer because of it. Now, Tom Taylor is now quickly becoming a veteran in comics. He's a great author. But this one that definitely caught the internet. November 10 is going to have the John and Jay kissing panel that you were talking about, and that's going to be Superman Son of Kal-El number 5. I was grateful because when this story broke, it was still before the issue's final order cutoff, so comic shops are able to boost their numbers and get ahead of these speculators that are trying to buy this book as the first time that Superman kisses a guy. And it's like, oh, well, it's his son, but sure.
Yeah, well, anything and anything official. Fucking, there are fan books and there are fan books and even Japanese doujins out there who have already done this in spades. I have read them because I'm a degenerate.
I ended up posting this number 5 issue in a speculator group on Facebook, and this was fully me trolling because I'm like, hey, make sure to get this issue. The final order cutoff is this Friday. And they get mad when people do that because it's like, well, you just killed the value of it because now they're going to up their printing. And it's like, yeah, good. Fuck you guys.
That's the point, because you speculators and people who collect things just to sell them back to people at absurd amount of prices ruin everything for everybody.
They really
You're
do.
the worst type of nerds. Thank you.
So I know you have opinions on this because there's ways to go really wrong on this. There are some people that think, including myself, that this is going to be a non-story in a week. What's your take on this as a buy man?
Okay, so one, I checked on Twitter today before we recorded this. The day of this recording, it's already fallen off of the Twitter main feeds. It's off. It's not trending on Twitter anymore. So this might help your case in the fact that it's not going to be a thing anymore. But Twitter is not 100% accurate thing to check anything with. But as being a person who's bisexual myself, there is a label on that which they had better not go, which they cannot go to. They have to make sure, the person who's writing this has to make sure they don't go anywhere near there. Do not label Clark, and then this is even later on in the thing, do not have him have a boyfriend and a girlfriend at the same time that they don't know, that doesn't know about the other one.
Right.
Because that labels John as what the bisexual community gets labeled as, people who don't know what they want and just want to whore out themselves. And that's not how it goes. Yes, there is that negative stigma out there that has not been helped by a lot of media lately. Especially, like, one of the main reasons that kind of irks me is a musical called Rent.
Okay.
I don't know because in Rent there is a female character in that who essentially has a girlfriend and also sleeps with this other guy. And in the beginning, she is labeled as mostly, I'm a whore and I sleep with whoever I want. And it's like, no, don't do that, because that negative stigma has been a part of a thing. The fact that one person can love someone regardless of, depending on if they're male or female, it doesn't matter. I don't care if they're male or female, as long as I feel affection towards them. That's what matters.
Sure.
And it's very difficult to write that, because how can you make that interesting to some people? If they're lazy, they think, how can you make this interesting? Let's have them be in an affair. Woo. That's not any different from if you could do the same thing with if they were hetero or homosexual. It doesn't matter. You could do the same shit, and it's lazy and it's dumb, and it makes it even worse because no one writes anybody else that way. There are other examples out there that I can't think of right now, because after looking at so many for a long time, you just try to push them out of your mind. The only reason I remember the Rent one is because I have a very deep hatred for Rent, which is saved for if I ever join a musical podcast that talks about it. But the one thing about this whole John thing that irked me in the picture, and then the description I read of it, it's one, haha, he's dating a reporter. He's dating a reporter, just like
Oh
Daddy,
yeah.
except it's a dude. And then also his boyfriend is like essentially like some half, either I read it wrong, like half Japanese or fully Japanese or some kind of Asian culture character. And it's like, oh, okay, so not only is this guy like he's a gay dude who it's like, okay, blonde, pink, purplish looking hair, a different race other than white, and it's like he's fair-ish type of person from what we call in the gay community a twink.
Jesus.
So it's like, oh, this is stereotypical. It's like if somebody really wanted to rock the world with anything, you would have made it an adult.
Well,
An adult and somebody who's into you made an adult who's into another super muscled adult and one of the busty type women out there, one of the mental bust type women out there, and then that would have been more jarring. But they can't do that to normal Superman. That would raise too many flags and send half the world to a tailspin that wouldn't be able to recover.
Well, I do want to ask you this as a member of that community. The last time they did a gay character for on the Marvel side, they ended up introducing a gay Captain America, not a Steve Rogers who is gay, but this is someone that's inspired by Captain America who takes on the mantle and ends up doing his thing. And no super soldier, whatever. I didn't read it. I don't read anything Marvel, but there was a criticism over. He's got tattoos and he's got all kinds of piercings and he's got the half shave head thing that they got going on, and his hair is of different color. And people were saying, is this what they think that gay characters look like? Why is it always the same design? And little did they know that a gay artist designed the character.
Yes.
Now, do you think that the gay community, as far as like the artists or writers that are working on these characters and making these concepts, based on what you said, do you think they should move away from what some consider a stereotypical design, or do you think they should just go with what they believe they want to make for the character, who they think should be represented in these books?
Yeah, because I don't know anything about this reporter boy character. I'm just saying that there is a stigma out there where a lot of the LGBT community has, like, a lot of them will try to break away from anything normal. Like I'm gonna dye this. I'm gonna have tattoos. I'm gonna have piercings. I'm gonna do all this crazy. I'm gonna do all this stuff that breaks the usual norm of the safe hetero Christian household. Blah blah blah. Yada yada. Yada yada, because mommy and daddy didn't let me do anything because we were too busy because everybody in church would look at me funny. but it's like these days you don't know what anybody is. Period. It's like everybody talks about like, oh, fuck, it's like I have my gaydar. It's like, no, yeah. It's like it works in obvious when it's clear and obvious where you can like see, and then you don't, and then you still don't even know. even in the facts, because like the term metrosexual man is prominent these days. Yeah. I can look at a guy, not tell look at a guy. I could tell you it's like, nope, yes, I don't know, I don't care, until he actually flat out shows me and starts making out with his boyfriend in public. I'm not gonna know. Not gonna know. And then like design wise, it's like I understand that like you have to make a character look like stick out to these days to differentiate him from generic looking dude here, because as recognizable as Clark Kent is, like his character design still pretty generic everyday man look, the everyday man look, except every man doesn't look like a buff, look like a super, like a buff dude who is wearing a suit that's clearly too small for him because he doesn't know how to wear a suit because he's from the country.
I think you like Clark Kent now too.
Clark Kent, in my opinion, should have always. It's like the fact that he doesn't have an accent bugs me.
Yeah,
Clark never had an
that's
accent
true.
bugs me. It's like, how is it that Superman has never had an accent ever, at all? It's like he should have at least like a drawl, some kind of drawl,
right?
At least once. Like Superman writers, get on that. If you're gonna, it's like he's from Kansas. Not a single soul I met from Kansas has not had a drawl. And if they are, but it's like you could say, oh, he's not from Kansas. No, but he was raised by people in Kansas. Basically, Kansas. My brother Steven might have been my brother Steven might not have been like might not have been born in the same state I was, but he's still Southern. Okay. Okay, he was, technically his birth certificate was in New York, and freaking and mine's in Florida, but he's still more Southern than I am. So come on, people, get with it. It's like, make Superman Southern, make Batman sound like he's actually from Chicago.
Yeah, there you go.
Give him that, give him the thing. Freaking, it's like shoot, it's like they can't all just be like eloquent and well. It's like even though it's like Batman and Superman, they're educated. I get it. So maybe we could, it's like they might have lost their isms down the line, especially to be a businessman. But there are plenty of businessmen like Batman who, like Bruce Wayne, who have their accents in Southern drawl. My family's known like a man who went into money, and he's like he's Southern as all hell. All hell. He don't know how to pronounce his R's at all. So, but at the end of the day, that's beyond the usual Julian lazy gaming guy style tangents.
No, I love it. I'm glad I got your take on this, because it makes for great content. One, but two, it helps me get some perspective on, getting my finger on the pulse on this thing. Because yeah, go ahead.
With this whole character study thing, it's like, if you're gonna make him bisexual, it's like you're gonna have to not put him in an affair at all. That's number one. You put him, if I go about reading this and later on down the line I hear he's in some kind of like, he's like betrayed like hit one person he loves and they're not, and while he's liking another one, it's like, okay, this character's dead to me. This character's dead to me. It's just, now we're just forcing stupid writing. And then, to be honest, don't make it like just, oh, we did this for this issue and then it's never brought up again. Like, in your Discord, you brought up Tim being, and I'm like, oh right, I forgot about Tim. I forgot Tim is gay. Holy shit. I totally forgot about that. It's because they don't do anything with it. Because it's like, if you want to go there and say we need representation, a lot of these comic books don't follow up on said representation, except for maybe Wonder Woman randomly fucking having her mood swing of men are terrible, kiss this woman and move on.
Well, I got to defend the Tim Drake thing, because that's in Batman Urban Legends, and they don't have the same story in every issue. They kind of jump around. So the Tim Drake arc began with, at least that reveal began with that issue. So they're still exploring that character and that relationship in the coming issues of Batman Urban Legends. So they're still doing that. I will give them credit there. And one of the things, though, on the opposite end is they'll say, well, why does every story have to remind us that Tim is gay or that John is gay? They don't do that with any straight characters, so why does that have to be? So there's like a lose-lose with this thing, because and this is where my take comes out of all this, is one, from experience on seeing them introduce gay characters, or they'll introduce a black Captain America or whatever. Anytime they do those things, yes, there's a spike in sales from speculators, but I don't see maybe the perceived market that they're going after on this, if they're even doing that. If they hope to like, we're going to get the gay community to pick up Superman, son of Kal-El, that's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. The people that they're supposedly trying to cater to, if they're trying to, do not support those books for whatever reason. They just, and I see it on Twitter too. I saw it on this John Kent thing where the gay community were like, good for you. This is great. This is awesome. Thank you, DC. And it's like, okay, how many of you are actually going to buy the fucking comic? Right.
Exactly. I can't even say that I'm going to buy this, because like,
there you go.
Because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, good for him. Good for him. Make actual, unless this, but like later on in stuff, it's like, even like with the whole Falcon being freaking Captain America thing, I've looked into it. It's like, well, it's not any different from any other book. So it's like not any different from like other Captain America books. So, and him being the Falcon, technically, it makes sense. So I guess like it makes sense since it was part of Captain America's story. The Falcon was literally introduced in the Captain America story. So I guess it makes sense. So I guess at the end of the day, I'm like, it makes sense. Being a person who ends up getting pandered to a lot, where it's like we have interracial we have different race thing here, get people to buy this because person different race or sexual orientation thing. When they announce it and make a big deal about it is when it's less impactful. It's kind of that's the one thing about like when people break news about these kinds of things, it's so unimpactful if it wasn't something that they wrote into it before they released it. I don't know, like the last big comic book crazy ridiculous thing that people went nuts over was the Batman Dick issue.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask, did they talk about it? Did they talk about Batman being naked before it came out, or was it something that people just found out suddenly and that people got told and then they just went out and bought a bunch of it?
They found out the day it released because it was like, oh shit, there's people were reading it and it's like, that's Batman's dick.
Yeah, see, I think that's the difference. That's the difference there. It's like, holy shit, this is Batman's dick. I gotta see. Everybody's like, I gotta see what the fuck is going on here. See what the fuck is on here. Is he well endowed? Is he cut? Is it fucking? Does it lean to the side? Who knows? We gotta see. It's like maybe if they release the book and it's like at the end it's like full, it's like this picture that they've been circulating all over the internet. It's like, holy shit, Superman's son is bi. How did this happen? When did he do that? Why did he do this? What brought this along? What's his boyfriend look like? Fucking let's buy it out and read. Let's buy it and read it and see if anything else happens. And then I don't know. So now it's like, because I remember like one of my friends who was about Batman Dick thing. He's like, he saw it. It's like, oh, now it's like, oh yeah, I'm reading more of this now. I'm actually enjoying the Batman thing. It's like, oh, so this actually helps. So this helps more than just finding out about, it's like, oh, we're gonna reveal this thing in this one. It's like, but it's like, isn't a reveal more interesting if you wait till it comes out? It's not like a video. It's not like a Smash Brothers character that we just like. It's like, oh no, we're revealing this to build up the hype, not. Because it's different for a video game. You need to build up hype for a video game. A comic book, it's supposed to get, people are supposed to build up hype from word of mouth of talking about it. Usually, like anything else book related. Am I wrong? I don't know.
It's going to be kind of weird because I don't think it's going to affect sales positively come issue 6, 7, or 8. As I mentioned, I don't think, and you agreed as well, that the readership is not going to gain new readers because of that. And I know that the existing Jonathan Kent fans that were reading it, I saw in some groups were like, well, this ruins the character for me. So I know that they did it for, and some like people for Super Sons were like, Damian Wayne should be his boyfriend, not this Jay character, because they always ship Damian and Jonathan from the Super Sons thing.
No, technically it should be Tim now.
Yeah. What if that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah, they're closer in age too. So
it's like it's Tim. It's like, nah, it's Tim, and then Batman and Superman say, "Oh, good for them," and then they look at each other like, and then suddenly they reveal it's like Batman and Superman have been having an affair for years.
They are now dads. Well, in Superman's mind, they are for sure. That's been a thing forever.
Yeah, Superman always looks at Clark and goes, Clark always looks at Bruce and goes, "What if?" What if? And then Lois is like, and Lois is like, I'd be cool with that.
Oh yeah, of course. She almost fell for Batman too in the animated series, so it works out perfectly.
No, I thought in the animated series they were technically dating.
They went on a couple of dates.
Yeah, and then when she found out about Batman, she's like, no.
Yeah, it was.
No, you're an obsessed crazy man in your who wears all black in his pajamas trying to kill people in the middle of the night. I can't do that. I need my husband to sleep me in the middle of the night. Thank you.
Well, this has been great content, Julian. Thank you. That does wrap up our news portion for this week's episode. Let's head into the more personal side of the show, which is the Brocat Block. What we've been doing, playing, reading this week, it is, once again, Brocat Block. So what have you been doing this week, Julian? Playing or reading, whatever it may be, go for it.
So this week last Friday, I had bought Metroid Dread. I actually made a recording of it, but in the middle of the recording, but in the beginning of the recording, I suddenly felt really ill and had to, freaking, because apparently I'd eaten something bad, so I couldn't get the record. So my recording was because after the recording I started recording 5 minutes later within the recording.
You sharted.
No, not the sharding. God damn it! It was just vomit. just vomit. So I was sick that entire. I spent like the next Sunday ill mostly in the bed playing like my Switcher, playing it in like handheld mode, trying to get through it, dying a lot. It's very hard, and it also scares me a little bit because there are these robots that come after you called Emmys. Stupid name, but it's an acronym. and these things loom after you like you're a sex having teenager in a Jason movie. It's you can do whatever you want, struggle, but it's still going to kill you. Except you'll randomly get a power up that lets you kill them once, and then once you kill them once, you get a new power up, and then the beam's gone. It's gone. You don't get one until you get another one. Until the plot decides you get another one, you're not going to get another one, and you have to constantly just dodge and run them, and you only dodge them once, and once you dodge them once, then it's not the dodge ain't going to work again, and you're fucked. Even like our friend Omni played it during his stream, and I actually watched his stream in the middle of me being sick and saw it, and I'm like, oh, dude, he's having a harder time than I am, but he was farther than I was, so oh no. Other than that, I have been looking at cooking shows, like actual people making food and setting things up, like paying attention to how people put things on plates.
Yeah, the art of plating.
And understanding how you're supposed to technically eat meals. Now, as a child, and most of my life, I'm going to be real because I am a giant child for the longest time. I've noticed that, oh, wait a minute, the best way for people to eat their food is not by having it separated in parts. It's by putting it on top of practically having it layered on top of each other. Your cauliflower puree is not supposed to be on the side of your steak. Your steak's supposed to go on top of it because the juices you're supposed to, or like for you who's a vegetarian, it's like your chipotle I don't know, like a vegetable covered in something, it's supposed to be on top of whatever your extra garnish is or your salad and stuff. You're not supposed to put it off to the side because you don't get all the flavor of what you're supposed to be eating. The point of a good meal is you're supposed to eat all of it together, not in pieces. Because then you're not enjoying the food the way it's supposed to be made. And it's been interesting realizing that. And then I even tried it. I made this fried shrimp, and then and then it's supposed to have like this Asian chili sauce glaze on top of it, like the spicy Asian chili sauce glaze, like the ones they put on like wings or something on it. And it's supposed to put it on top with the shrimp on top of the rice, and then supposed to put the glaze on top, and then that way your rice you're not just eating bland white rice. You have rice with flavors on it, and then suddenly I'm wasting less food. All my rice is getting eaten. And then I even tried it out by I went to Panda Express, and instead of getting a plate, I asked for a bowl I asked for just a simple bowl of teriyaki chicken. And so the teriyaki sauce that I have to pour on myself now because I ordered it from the drive-thru, since they don't put it on for you outside of the drive-thru anymore. I put it on, and then suddenly I have flavored rice. And now most of the bowl is gone. I mean, they put too much rice in that bowl anyway, but I ate most of that bowl. I didn't feel like I wasted a dime. Have I been eating wrong for years? It's been an eye-opening experience. It's like I'm not gonna put like my mac and cheese on top of my mashed potatoes for like a simple meal or something.
Do it,
but because that's just weird. But I'm at least gonna take the chicken and like put it, instead of just eating mashed potatoes with a spoon on the side. I'm gonna actually like take the chicken and take some of that chicken and some of mashed potatoes, put it on top of the chicken and eat it now, because that's how I'm supposed. Because that gives a little bit more flavors to it. Because it's just chicken with no fried on it. It's just baked, and it's like, holy crap, this is food. This is how food works. People have been eating wrong for years.
You know who you are?
Throw away your plate separation. Throw away those separation plates for your children. Don't buy them for your children. Just force them to eat everything on top of each other now.
you are Remy's brother from Ratatouille is who you are. Like combining the grape with the cheese.
That's what I did. That's what's happened. I feel like that's what I feel like now. It's like flavors dancing in my mouth. I'm so stupid. I've been planning. It's like last night I told Scott the same thing. It's like I'm after because I'm planning my trip to Florida next year, because around this time next year
Yes.
I'm actually planning on showing up, because I need a good year to save up for this, because I need a good year to save up for this just in case of any unwanted expenses pop up. So, because I was planning on going in January, but it's like it's too soon. I'm not gonna have enough money. I'm gonna end up Ubering everywhere I want to go, and people are gonna have to come to me wherever the fuck I'm at.
Yeah.
That's and so like I'm planning this trip, and I was talking about all these restaurants that I said we need, that's like all these Disney restaurants we need to go to, and I'm like, I've looked at some of these things, and at first I'm like, oh, why'd they? It's like a couple years ago, like literally a couple weeks ago, I would have been like, oh, look at them stack on top of this stuff. But then I've been watching all these people go to these places like back before COVID and junk, and would see how they plate these things. Like, wow, that's amazing. I can't believe I've gone through a food evolution, and like some kind of food evolution this late. I say this late in my life. I'm only 31. What am I talking about? At this point in my life, it's like, I guess I'm really becoming more of an adult now, because I'm seeing all these things and entertaining. It's like, no wonder this is bitter, because I'm just eating it by itself. I'm not supposed to eat the bitter things by themselves. I'm supposed to have the savor. Supposed to eat it with the savory. And how like some of these sweet things, like, no, I can't eat just sweet things because my brain doesn't want to eat it anymore. I can look at some ridiculous confectionery now with all this frosting and junk on it and go like, ew, why would I want that? That I'm an adult now. Holy crap.
Yeah, yeah. You're interested in movies like Joker. You're mixing your food up and discovering these flavors. You're literally growing up this year, this week.
Yeah, if only I could drink. Now, if only my body wouldn't writhe up in pain whenever the last one, because I had a basic Jaeger the other day, and my body's like, no, don't do that again. No, don't do that again. You're mixing. You still have to mix your drinks, Mister. We're not. We might be somewhat of an adult. We're not ready for just base scotch. Just drinking base scotch like we're a grizzled old man, like we're a grizzled old Commissioner Gordon. We're not Commissioner Gordon drinking scotch after work. We can't do that yet.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's great that you are. That's exciting too, because you get to discover all these different flavors and plates now. Things that you might have not enjoyed in the past, you might enjoy now. That's pretty cool. You got a world ahead of you in food, which is which is great. You don't want to get bored with that stuff. You want to try out all kinds of new stuff.
Yay! For things with mostly green vegetables in it. I don't understand how people can eat only green things. Like, what about the other colors of vegetables? They have taste. Your salad doesn't have to be just spinach and lettuce, people.
Well, drop the lettuce. All you need is the spinach, and then you throw on all the rest of your veggies, your onions, your tomatoes, your green peppers, red peppers, all that stuff.
You wouldn't know. You would know better.
On my end, I actually worked at the time we recorded yesterday. My last shift at the comic shop ended up being a difficult shift. Not because I'm like, oh man, I'm so sad, but it was mainly because I'm like, man, they really screwed up the pull list this week and the distribution and all this other stuff. And it was just kind of like, I was telling the owner, I was like, if this weren't like my last day regular, like I'd be really pissed right now. I'd be like, oh man, this is how we have to do this now moving forward.
It's like this week's gonna be nothing but trying to fix everything.
Yeah, boom. Exactly. And it's like, no, I just got to do this once.
Like, here you go, everybody. Good luck. Good luck. Don't call me asking for help. I'm not. Just because we're friends doesn't mean I'm going to try and help you when I'm off.
It actually ended up being the opposite. I was like, make sure this gets done. Normally I do this. And I was like that person leaving like the house to someone, like, and make sure that the cats get fed, that kind of thing. Even though I still have some investment in the shop, it still feels like I shaped it out, and I'm sure I did in many ways. So I just I care about the store, and I want it to be successful. And I did tell my employees, I'm like, hey, and the new manager, I'm like, don't feel like you're bugging me. Please call me if you have questions. There is a lot to fucking learn here. There is a lot. I put in, this is me at this point. It was 9 years of just comic shop experience. So for someone to come in from outside retail to now head up a comic shop, it's like, great. You're going to have a lot to learn. You're going to have a lot of adjustments. And I didn't want to poison the well either with like, watch out for this and this, it was just like, you'll come to those conclusions on your own.
Don't warn him about the mountain of collectors that are gonna come in and try and take his stock in the middle of the night.
I mean, I told him about the, limiting certain comics to one per person per day and all that stuff, because you got to protect your store as well. But he will come to his own conclusions, and that's it. I kind of let it go. This morning I was like, hey, I wonder how many copies of the Immortal Hulk 55 they sold. I was kind of wondering these things. So, because there were so many covers we got last night, another ordering issue, unfortunately, but I was just like, you know what? That's not my business anymore. That's not my problem. And I got to get into that habit. I have a lot of people are like, oh, you woke up and you had nothing to do. And I'm like, it still feels like my Friday, my weekend though. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm unemployed yet. Talk to me next week. Talk to me in 2 weeks and I'll tell you how it feels. So for now, it doesn't feel any different, but I will say I got some reading done, which is really weird. I never get to do that stuff. I got to go see Leo at his little Pee-wee soccer game, which is normally I'm working on Wednesday. So now I get to see him go do that stuff.
Did my son always have black hair? What?
Yeah. Hey, Leon. My name is Leo. Oh, all right. When did you talk?
It's like, hell, it's like, that's great. That's great, Steven. It's like, that's not my, it's like, you don't even get his name right. You just get it wrong. It's like, oh no, son, and then later on years, like, oh no, son, I was messing with you back then. It's like, that was a joke. It's like, Dad, I'm scarred from it now.
Yeah, of course. I got to see the new Bond movie, No Time to Die, which we talked about earlier. And then in about a week and a half, I'll be seeing Dune. I'm excited for that. And that'll be...
Oh boy, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it'll be on HBO Max and it'll be in theaters. So those are my plans right now. And again, next week, I'll probably have a better feel on this I'm a bum thing.
Oh boy, I don't know. And now that you're talking about it, it's like I have to rewatch. Do I have to? I don't know if I can sit through the old Dune again. And actually
don't watch it.
No, because you know why? Because it's like I remember the old Dune. Like I remember being bored for hours until
this is a remake.
This is a remake. Hopefully they don't do the same thing where they bore me to tears with. The only thing I can remember from Dune is like I must conquer the worm, Shadashir, and then also that he is the Hat Kwisatz Haderach. It's like, what the fuck did you just say? What is that? And why did this woman hiss when you say it? Was she hissing or was it like the musical sting? I still to this day cannot figure out if that woman was hissing or if it was a musical sting or not. It was that movie was so weird. My teenage brain might have watched a movie that broke me, and also like because I didn't comprehend a damn thing. And then when I watched it again when I was older, it was like, I still don't get anything that's going on in this movie. I get it. No, I understand what's happening, but I don't get why they do the things they do. Maybe adapting straight from the book is a bad idea.
Well, rest assured, this is an amazing director behind it. Denis Villeneuve. He is one of my favorite working directors currently. I will watch anything by him. That's the only reason I'm seeing this. I didn't read the book. I didn't see the original movie from start to finish, but I will watch any fucking movie he makes except for the MCU.
Just don't watch it from start to finish. Watch it in pieces. Because they're literally, apparently from what I heard when it first came out, they gave people pamphlets so they can understand what's going on.
I believe that. And I played it in the store because I'm like, all right, we carry the Dune comic that's currently going on and it's rated PG. I'm like, all right, let's play it. And then it got to like that fetus scene. And I'm like, this is fucking graphic.
It's PG in the 80s sense.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think they had a PG-13.
Remember that freaking RoboCop was first rated PG-13. Then they had to change it to R.
Yeah.
Because they realized, oh God, this is actually more violent than what people think it is. They advertised RoboCop to children
and Aliens and all those movies. Yeah, they made Aliens toys and shit.
They advertised them like they were G.I. Joes.
Of course.
No. No.
There's toys to sell, Julian.
hell, even like the Pirates movies, that they advertise the third movie to children. In the first 5 minutes, there's a child being hung in the beginning. Why? It's like why do we do the wrong things? Don't advertise PG-13 movies to children. Stop, and then just have that stupid parental guidance is advised kind of bullshit. It's like, no, because people don't know what PG means anymore.
No, they don't. Awesome, man. This has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on and helping with the content. I know that your Venom 2 screening gets pushed an extra day, and I know you're recording this before your Lazy Gaming Guys stream. So
chance.
Yeah, and so I appreciate it, man. I do appreciate you taking the time to do this and helping me continue the podcast. And as I told Scott, and I'll tell you the same thing, it's an awesome opportunity also for the Brokehead Core out there to get to know the guys, you, Julian, the rest of the co-hosts that I've known for years, and they get to see what I enjoy the most of you guys, and they get to see that personalities, friendships, and in talking to you each day. So I do appreciate it.
Friendships, and we spend literally like 70% of Lazy Gaming is talking shit about each other. You can tell we've known, even though for some of us it hasn't been as longer, but with all of us it's been, it's that, for me and Scott at least, it's been a lifelong friendship of knowing what the other one's going to say, and then still to this day being surprised by the stupid things that come out of each other's mouths.
Well, go ahead and plug that real quick too before we sign off. Let them know where they can find Lazy Gaming Guys, where they can find the stream, and where they can find you.
Yes, everybody. We are at Lazy Gaming Guys on Twitter.com. Also, YouTube.com/@LazyGamingGuys. We stream every Wednesday and occasionally on Saturdays when I actually find the time and the energy, because work is difficult. And then also we will also appear on our friend OmniJam streams from occasion on Twitch.tv/OmniJam. And we also have a Twitch that Jacques likes to stream from now and then, called Twitch.tv/LazyGamingGuys. So follow those. Keep an eye out, because we're actually putting more efforts into trying to raise our brand. I'm working on trying to get actual videos put out more often between streams, and Jacques actually trying to get our stream deck actually looking like a normal stream one with interesting borders. I'm never going to change my border because you made it, and I'm going to keep it. I'm going to make I will add other things to it, but the one with the butt cam thing and all that stuff, I'm not going to get rid of it, even though the butt cam is a joke that I have mixed feelings about. But other than that, come enjoy our nonsense.
Perfect.
It's not the nonsense. That's all. That's what I call it every day, and I will never call it not nonsense.
And there will be a link on everywhere you can find Julian and Lazy Gaming Guys on the description of today's episode, so you can swipe on over and you will find all of those links on there. And Julian's also active on the Discord for this podcast and also for the Lazy Gaming Guys podcast, or YouTube stream. So make sure to join both Discords if you can for more gaming, anime, DC stuff.
And a lot of memes, like just
tons of memes.
The Lazy Gaming Guys Discord has become a meme factory. Good memes, bad memes, cringe, just whatever the heck Scott sees, Jacques sees, just horrible, wonderful, dumb things, whatever is on our brains at the time.
And also, if you enjoyed the show, if you're finding value from the podcast, you on the other end, make sure to join our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/thereasonsimBroke for as little as $1 per month. That equals out to less than 25 cents an episode, or 25 cents an episode on 4 Sunday months. You too can get the podcast early. You can help support the show, especially now during my personal uncertain times of no income. So that'll help me continue covering the costs of the show, which include Alphonic, loading the podcast up into the servers, the Hootsuite account to help promote the show on social media. So all of that helps with patreon.com/thereasonsimBroke. Very much appreciate if you join, and also for our current supporters on there, including you, Julian. So thank you. I get to thank you here on the podcast as well. Other than that, thank you so much for joining us this week. I've been Daniel, and Brokehead Core, all will be well. All right, Julian, I will ask you the same question that I asked Scott for Smash Brothers Ultimate, and this is one that I, not counting Sora, because we already know we got him. Who would have been your other dream addition to Smash Brothers Ultimate that they did not add, and who were you honestly expecting instead of Sora?
Okay, so what I wanted another Pokemon. I'm not gonna even mince words about that. I wanted them to put Infernape in it.
My answer was another Pokemon too. Yeah, with Scott.
And then the one I expected Okay, so like in the back of my brain, I expected them. It's like, okay, so I looked through what's coming out in Nintendo soon. I looked what's coming out Nintendo wise. What are they going to release? What else is coming out? And then once again, it's going to be another Pokemon. I expected Garchomp to help release for arcade for the not only Diamond and Pearl stuff but also the Arceus stuff coming out. They were going to release like a Gen 4 Pokemon. And
Yeah.
once again, because Infernape's a Gen 4 Pokemon, so it would have been like I would have expected like Garchomp or something, like another like something Gen 4 that they would have, or maybe another a second Pokemon trainer.
Yes. Yeah. That would have been cool.
It would have been interesting. I made a tongue-in-cheek joke about this, but when they announced Bayonetta 3, I said, "Okay, we're getting another skin for Bayonetta. It's gonna be Bayo 3. It's gonna be the way her looking Bayo 3, even though we don't know a damn thing about it yet. But, it's gonna be the new Bayo 3 skin, everybody, because after when Bayo 3 came out, everybody lost their damn minds." Even I did. I'm like, yeah, woo, Bayonetta 3, finally, fucking after I've been following that stupid Twitter that's been talking about how many days it's been since they've had news. 1,324, by the way.
Now we know.
You know now. It's so bad.